Hey everyone, this is Bethany Boring. Welcome back to the Radical Care for Christian Counselors podcast. I'm so glad that you are here. And just to make sure that you're in the right place, if you're a mental health care professional, pastoral care leader, Christian counselor, or maybe you're one of those people, or the same kind of people, that also want to have good friends, that also want to get out of the mundane, constantly meeting one on one with other people and know what it really feels like to be with a group of people, and maybe even learn how to do deep transformational group work with other people. Well, if that's you, you're in the right place. Here on this podcast, we talk about mental health, we talk about soul care, and we talk about really how to have deep relationships with other people and how to do it well. So at Step Out and Thrive, I have groups. Would love for you to be a part, to actually practice this deep community work so that you can have a support group of your own, but B, know how to do this and actually, who knows, walk out and change your world in amazing ways. If that interests you, you can check out BethanyBoring.com and you can get more resources and find the next group that's coming up and grab a free workbook and all that good stuff. So go check it out. So we are on session 3 of our Cognitive Distortions series, and I'm recording it right now. I'm not sure what I'm going to call this series because ain't nobody know what cognitive distortions are unless you're one of those amazing counselor people like myself that just love psychology stuff. But if you're just an average Joe, you probably have no idea what cognitive distortions are. So just a really quick review for those of you that like say you're going to watch or listen to the previous two and never do, because I are one of those and I have done that myself. Cognitive distortions are basically filters in the way that we see the world. It's like if we have those magic glasses that we put on and all of a sudden everything just looks different. It's not true, it's not real, but at the same time it feels real. And it's almost easier to accept what's going on in those false colored glasses than what's going on in real life. And in order to do cognitive distortion work well, not only involves the desire to take off the glasses, which is hard, but it also involves looking at the truth, letting God speak the truth to us, and knowing that this work that we're doing has the power to grab lies by the root and throw them into the pit of hell. And God has given us that power, guys. God has given us that power. And so many times we don't use that. So the cognitive distortion that we're talking about today is mental filter. And for this one, confused me. I wish they would kind of change the name of this. But mental filter is basically when you become so razor focused on one specific thing that it defines everything, even though there might be more things that have happened. A very good example of this was actually in my journal entry. And like even following with this, I really encourage journaling, and I put Rosebud down below. So if you're one of those people that like Bethany, I don't know how to journal, or maybe you know, wow, like I would love to use journal entries to really help me with my mental health and counseling and just really help me go deeper with God. Well, Rosebud is that process that I've used to be able to do that. I explain more about that back in the session 1, so you will have to go back. I don't want to have that whole episode here, but it is a great resource. I've also put a PDF down below of all the cognitive distortions, which you can check out, and this can help you as well. And again, this whole thing is for awareness. So I don't want you going through the series going, oh my gosh, I struggle with this and this makes me a horrible. That's actually a cognitive distortion. We're going to get to that later. But allow this just to be an awareness, because a lot of times we can't clean the bedroom until we see the mess, until it bothers us to the point where we see the mess. So don't just go into a fixing frenzy. Just be aware of what's going on and go to God and say, okay, God, what do you have to say to me about this? And really be with Him in that. So, mental filter, story time. So, in my journal, a little bit ago, I wrote about a time that I was really struggling. And as I was going through, and again, I mentioned this back on day 1. And if you know me talking, you know that I struggle a lot with always doing more, always wanting to do more. And a lot of times I can just like say, okay, I'm going to do write a book and just expect it to be done and not really take everything apart to really realize everything that it has to go with it. So for this day, I was working on a project, and I don't know if you've ever had one of these days like this, but it's like everything that could go wrong went wrong. I had to use a specific computer that I have at the house that helps me see better. And this computer was not working. No matter what I tried to do, it was just not working. It was going so slow. I wasn't able to even do half the job that I really wanted to do. So then I'm like, okay, I will use another laptop in the house. And that laptop wouldn't run the program that I needed it to run to be on there. And then I submitted something to a website that I needed done to actually regurgitate some information for me and process some information for me, a large chunk of material. And it just didn't do it. I did it twice. I submitted my information twice, and it just like went into cyberspace somewhere. It just disappeared. And then I had 3 calls right in a row that just needed to get done. I thought they were going to be simple phone calls to make, and they just totally like failed. Like it ended up being more stuff on my plate. So knowing that I'm one of those people that like to get things done, this was is just a day that I was just like about to just give up. And then I get this video from one of my current clients, and it's pretty much a testimonial video, and she got to share just from her heart about what this group was doing for her. And as she shared, I just remember watching that video and just tears coming to my eyes. You know, regardless of what you do in this world, you know that there are very few days that you have people send you a video, a minute and a half to 2 minutes, just expressing how thankful they are that you're doing what God has called you to do. You don't, that's not a normal occurrence, guys. That's huge, right? And so for me in my world, I literally, and this is what I journal too, because that's literally how I felt like I did this. As I watched that video, I allowed myself to feel it. And then I went back to, oh my gosh, this is the worst day ever. I can't get anything done. Like, no kidding. I'm just like, what happened here right now? And I even had other things that happened that were just amazing that day. And literally, my journal entry was like, this was the hardest day ever. I didn't get anything done. I was just like, what? Mental filter. Like, I had so many great things that happened that day. That video was definitely the top. And I just really struggled. And even rereading that journal entry back, like I totally caught the whole mental filter thing. I'm like, wow, like, wait a second. Normal people don't get videos like that. Why didn't I just allow that to soak in? And I know why. It has to do with some other cognitive distortions, but it's that need to get stuff done. I need to get stuff done. I didn't ask for that. I mean, I wanted that. That was great, but that wasn't on my to do list that day. So in my mind, it did not exist. So I literally had this mental filter to focus on exactly what I needed to get done that day. And no matter what else happened outside of that, whether good, bad, whatever, it didn't mean anything. All I could see is what I needed to get done and how I wasn't getting it done. I wonder if you've ever had days where you can relate to that. Or maybe you had one of those days where a lot of things happened, but you had that one amazing thing. And you didn't really sit with it long enough. So I talk about how there's not really a remedy for each of these cognitive distortions. Now, granted, you can go on the internet and Google, hey, mental filter cures, and you can find out, but here's my hesitation to that. God knows us better than we know ourselves, right? And a lot of times he can ask me questions, and I can have great friends ask me questions that go deeper than just a common internet search about just this mental filter. You can find a common ideas. Like the whole common thing for this is if there's a mental filter going on, just remember that there's some gray area and be able to unpack what else is going on. I mean, that was easy. Like I did that just in my journal entry. I realized there was more things that happened that day. But here's what God did. When I got still with God, I said, okay, God. And I noticed there was a huge amount of shame that came over me. I'm like, this video happened. I just let it go. And yet I didn't even get done what I wanted to get done that day. So I'm just so like, I almost went to like, I'm just a total failure. That's like over catastrophizing, right? That's another cognitive distortion. So just catching myself in this whole just spin of things. I just like, God, what do you have to say to me about this? And you want to know what he said? Amazed. So get that video out again. Even in all this time, I had still not played that video back a second time. I just saved it. I didn't even put it into the saved folder that I need to put these things in. By the way, if you want to send me a testimonial video, I'd love to have it. But anyway, I didn't even put it in the folder that I created for those things. But God had me just sit with that video. And as I closed my eyes and I let this client's words just wash over me, I allowed myself to feel. I allowed myself to be seen. I allowed myself to process these powerful words that she was sharing. That's not on a website search. And God actually asked me questions about that too, and went a lot deeper. I'm not going to share all of that. But one thing he did ask me that I'll share here is that Bethany, do you believe that's true about yourself? You were so quick to say that this whole day was a waste of time and that you were a failure. But you're having a really hard time with this video that somebody took the time and energy to record for you and actually send to you so that you could share with other people. And I don't know how else to make that clear to you, kiddo. That God has called you to do things, and I'm proud of you for stepping out and doing that. And I just like, I could tell you went a lot deeper than that, but I was like, whoa. So that's just an example of a mental filter. So I'm curious, I'm going to turn this back to you now. Have you had moments in your life where you've encountered the mental filter cognitive distortion? And again, you can also refer down to the PDF that's below and in the show notes or however you get this wonderful podcast. And just be aware, okay, God, like, what does that sound like to me? What does it sound like as I'm hearing it in my everyday? Are you really sitting with God long enough for him to share that with you? And if you're one of those people, as a reminder, if you struggle to find the cognitive distortions in your journal entries, or if you don't write, use the rosebud, just get started with that if you want to, or just use the chart that's down below as well. And that can help you just be aware of what's going on and bring that up to God. And again, if you want to practice this with the groups, that's what Step Out and Thrive does. We do this work all the time. And we invoke curiosity in people. And, well, we don't just let mental filters stick around. We lovingly get to get curious with people, and it's just amazing. So we'd love to have you part of that too. We'll be back again next week with more. And in the meantime, dare to do more than just survive. Step out and thrive. Go chase his beauty in your life today. See you next week. Bye.